Yes, hello and welcome to the Any Given Sunday Australia podcast, the only podcast running 21, 8 and 1. Danny joining us as always. I know you hate that little one.
Yeah. Well, only because it's come from your Packers. And, the way that the overtime rules have changed is a lot more fair now. I just, the draw stat, it's just not nice. It's just not a nice ring to it. It should just be a win and a loss.
22 and 8. I'd be happy with that. And joining us after a week off, took off to wherever he did, at Charlie Pick. How are you, mate?
Very well. It was just a Aaron Rodgers-style journey of self-discovery for a week, but I found myself, and here I am.
Was there ayahuasca involved?
Yeah, sadly, no. Although, funny, I've introduced Aaron Rodgers out of nowhere here, all right? But interesting fact, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about how it's conspicuous that the wife he mentioned in his press conference at the start of the year, not a single teammate, former or otherwise, has ever seen the wife of Aaron Rodgers. Is she real? Does she just live in Canada? We'll never know.
Aaron Rodgers is married? This is
Do you remember pre-season, during training camp when everyone was doing the press conferences? And I suspect I know where this came from. Josh Allen came back and was talking a lot about getting married. And, that was a big thing. And it's like the next day, there was a press conference with Aaron Rodgers, who'd at long last signed with the Steelers after all of that delay. And then he mentioned that he'd also gotten married over the break. And everyone was like, oh, yeah? Really? And no one asked many follow-ups, and that was it. But so far, no investigative journalism has found the wife of Aaron Rodgers. So if anyone listening is close to Aaron Rodgers or his wife, alleged wife, let us know. Hit us up.
Are we going down the conspiracy theory track? Because I reckon there's something that hasn't been talked about enough, that Kyler Murray's gone on IR just as COD is coming out, and no one's brought that up.
Yeah. Do you know what? There is a chat, and there is definitely a chat about what next for the Cardinals, because it seems like he should be warming up for a season with the Oakland Athletics.
Yes, I actually did hear that, that he's looking back towards baseball because his NFL career has gone down the toilet. But anyway, we digress. I do want to bring up, it's a very juicy week 11 that's just happened, and plenty of playoff implications, to the point where if we were playing playoffs now, boys, and Danny, I'll throw to you straight away, no Detroit and no Kansas. They are both out of playoff contention as we speak.
Which is absolutely wild. None of us would have predicted that at the start of the year. I'm pretty sure we picked maybe both of those, or at least one of those, to take out their division. But it is crazy to think that we're going to get into the lines a little bit further later. There's just some gaps there, and you're saying you look at the Chiefs, and they're just not the complete team. Maybe teams have just figured out how to play them. Teams probably saw the Eagles smash them in the Super Bowl, be like, hey, you can actually beat this team. So let's go in there with a different mindset and not think that we're going to get absolutely ran by the Chiefs every single time we play them, and then kind of beat them mentally before they've even beaten them on the field.
And it's interesting that both of those teams, though, have started the season with everyone doubting them after watching them play, then have come back and everyone going, oh, they're back and they're terrifying. And then they've sputtered along the way. They've had some good football and some bad football. But what they aren't, that they have been before, is consistent. That's what it is. They're inconsistent. The Chiefs, I tipped against the Bills when they played the Chiefs because they'd looked terrifying, but they haven't put it together game after game, and they're in all sorts of trouble over in the AFC West. I mean, the Chargers gave them a bit of a chance by losing today in pretty surprising circumstances, but it's a massive uphill battle for them to get there.
Let's talk about that AFC West and those Broncos joining the Patriots, who won on Friday Night Football, or Thursday Night Football, Friday for us, to become the first two 9-win teams and guarantee a plus 500 season, which is huge for both of those teams. But the Broncos just hanging on, and a fourth quarter comeback to beat the Chiefs. It's got to be huge for them going forward. Danny, we actually said this whole time that it was in Arrowhead. It was in Denver. We said on the preview, but it was in Denver. But still, just to get that win, and realistically 4 games clear now of the Chiefs.
And yeah, that might have been a little scheduling blip of ours, but we're human. We are human at the end of the
I think
day.
it was a last minute change. They moved it to Denver.
Yeah, because I'm sure that would have helped with like all ticket sales and all that. But in saying that, we both picked the Chiefs because they're playing at Arrowhead, and the fact that they weren't made a massive difference. A little bit of icing on the cake though as well for the Broncos, because they had a field goal. They kicked a field goal to win, like as time expired. It was almost the exact same distance as where they got blocked last year. So it was like a little like let's put a nail in this little story and let's finish it. And let's take out the Chiefs. It is massive, and it has such big implications for like where they're going to finish in this division. And we said that in the preview, and it really has proven it that the Broncos are going to take that out.
We did say it was a field goal game, so we're right with that one. And we said if the Chiefs lose, Charlie, then you can put a line through them to win their division. They're playing for the wild card spot now.
Yeah, I think it is hard to see how they're going to navigate a way to win that division from here. It would take a spectacular loss of form from the Broncos, almost a Philadelphia Eagles style loss of form to lose that many on the trot.
Pain.
And that's pretty unlikely. And you would say that they haven't shown that they're consistent enough, as I say, to pull that off. So then, some big questions. I mean, there's not questions about Patrick Mahomes. He's played great football, and there's some real life in that offense, the way that it's working with Rice, Worthy, and Tyquan Thornton. You definitely get another season out of Kelsey now. He's shown more, definitely more spark than he had last year and possibly the year before, arguably. But if they don't make the playoffs and they have to, stop and soul search again, who's to say they do bounce back again next year? The question people are starting to ask is the dynasty over? Particularly, they were starting to ask it after the Eagles really served it to them in the Super Bowl. But now to miss out on the playoffs the next year, that trend is bad. The graph is going down, and you rate the coach, you rate the quarterback. Chris Jones, strangely enough, I've seen some games where his heart hasn't seemed in it, and I've never seen that before from Chris Jones.
No, you definitely wouldn't be saying that previous.
And so it's a big turnaround in fortunes for the Chiefs, who possibly it wasn't as much as just getting Rashee Rice back and everything was going to be okay.
Well, you could almost say they were going better before he got back, really. Like, they started to get a bit of continuity in what they had. Like, we're going to claim Tyquan Thornton. We called it as soon as he was come out that he was going to be the next big thing, and he has proven to be, more than handy for him. So, was it him coming back, Charlie, that kind of threw a little bit of spanner in the works that they had going? I know they started off slow, but then they did kind of work their offense out.
Do I'm not sure it's that as much as I really feel like they don't have a dangerous run game the way they have in previous years. Isaiah Pacheco, I think, going into next season, maybe his form improves, but it feels like he's never fully recovered from injury, and he's injured again this year and a couple of times. They need that foundational running game. They're known for Mahomes, they're known for Kelsey, they're known for Chris Jones, and Rashee Rice, and before that, Tyreek Hill on the outside. But without a run game, it really does change them. It puts a lot of pressure on Mahomes to create magic. He's been running more this year than he was the last few years, and I think because he has to. So I don't know if Rice throws the balance out. When he has been back and had some great games, but they've really been trying to force it to him. I don't think it's quite as bad as when Allen was trying to force it to Diggs because he was upset on the sideline. But I think they're trying too hard to get him into the game, and that's always going to be a problem, particularly when the run game isn't there and you have to rely on winging it in the air.
It almost sounds like AJ Brown at the Eagles, where he's not getting the ball. He's going to be gone next year for sure. We'll get on that, Danny. Don't you worry about that.
The thing about the two teams that are 9-0 that is a little bit terrifying for the AFC West and for the AFC East. There's some pretty young quarterbacks to be the gold standard of the league at this stage. A lot of MVP talk about Drake May at the Patriots, but they're still very young. They're still learning, but they are showing an ability to win in tough circumstances, and also put the foot down in games that they're doing well in and put them away. They're two great quarterbacks. Like we've seen so many, like you would say, busts at quarterback, in recent years, or quarterbacks that haven't necessarily won us over and gone, all right, you found your franchise quarterback. It took Baker Mayfield 3 or 4 teams before he feels like a set in stone, a franchise quarterback. But these two guys, what are we, 2 seasons in on the two of them, and they're trouble.
Danny boy, Patrick Mahomes is finally not favourite for MVP. He's finally dropped out. I'm just looking at the live odds, and Drake May's sitting second at $3. Josh Allen, I thought, would have jumped. He's at $5.50 third. Matthew Stafford, number 1.
Massive win today for the Rams against the Seahawks, which was always going to have implications, and he played really well. The Seahawks actually probably had no right to be in there towards the end of that game. There was a couple of mistakes made on the Rams defense, but Sam Darnold had 4 interceptions, and yet they were still kicking for the field goal to win the game. Like, that is huge. But Matthew Stafford is very much, like, I'd love to say flying under the radar, but he's not, because he's wowing.
He's on top of the radar.
He's on top.
He is the radar.
He is the radar. Everyone's got eyes on now, but I think this is what he's been doing the whole season. They've only just started talking about it for these past 2 weeks. Like, he is, I think, deserving of that top spot, at least be in that conversation. But jumping back to Drake May, what amazing company to be a part of that you're in between Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen in an MVP conversation. Like, whether you win it or not, that doesn't matter. Like, that just proves the level of season this young quarterback's having.
He's going to have a very good contract very soon. They'll be negotiating at the end of next season, and the way that it's going, he could be getting one of the big deals a lot earlier than any other quarterback has, and that's definitely safe to say. And I just absolutely agree with Matt Stafford. I mean, he played some games last year that were freakishly good, and this year he's been just consistently dominant, really making plays under pressure. The Rams can catch whoever's in front of them because they can score quickly. But I'd also like to say that if you've got Puka Nacua as your 1 and Devontae Adams as your 2, you'd want to be hitting some targets.
It helps. It helps.
And then you've got Kyron Williams who's having an absolute elite year as well. Like, you are covered in all offense.
Well, let's go. Let's talk about that. More of the division as well is. I'll post a question to both of you, but Danny, I'll give it to you first. NFC North versus NFC West. Both divisions have, 3 teams with, I think it's 6 or 7 wins, or 8 wins in the West. Which is a better division at the moment?
West is best, my friend. You know that. You just don't want to admit it. And this is why, because when you actually look at the West, the top is the Rams. They're one of these 8-2 winning teams that we're talking about. Then you've got the Seahawks at 7 wins, and San Francisco flying under the radar. They actually are at 7 wins.
I don't know how the hell they are still winning.
Brock Purdy was back to Brock Purdy vault. Like, that game against the Cardinals today, which was a divisional matchup. We always say divisional matchups are different. Didn't make a difference to him. They absolutely dominated those Cardinals. Whereas, in your division, you got a team that has a draw in it. Like,
and the Bears are on top.
And the Bears are on top. Which I love so much. Love so much that the Bears are on top, just because you're on this podcast.
It's fucking disgusting. But yeah, Snail, kudos to them. We'll see if they can hold that spot. The only reason I like the Bears on top is because Detroit's now out of the playoffs.
Yeah, which is absolutely massive. Absolutely huge implications. But Caleb Williams is like playing much better football this year. He has had the turnaround that everyone wanted him to have, and like some people, like you especially, didn't expect him to have. But he is finally getting there, and I think that team is much better coached now, which has all the implications.
I was going to say it makes a big difference for a talent like Caleb Williams to have, a head coach who is not only an offensive mind, but he is quarterback friendly, and he has gotten so much out of Jared Goff over the last few years and turned him into a, MVP caliber quarterback as well. He is great for Caleb Williams. And you see that so often. It's about the head coach quarterback relationship that helps those, the struggling rookie junior QBs actually step up and live up to their potential. And I'm sure Caleb Williams and his agent are breathing a sigh of relief that they've turned it round.
Danny, just for your peace of mind, mate, he's currently projected 3,959 yards.
We are so close. We are so close. We are
God,
on
I hope
hot,
it does come down to that kind of margin.
we are on hot take time machine watch with this one.
Yeah, we'll have to revisit what our bet was. I know I have to wear a Caleb Williams jersey, but I can't remember what your side of the bargain was.
I think it was a budgie bet.
It's definitely a budgie bet, yeah, for sure.
I think that's correct, and I'm glad I didn't step into this one at all.
I'm still confident. He's got a couple of big games that he's not going to score very much, so that'll drop very quickly. He'll finish about 3-7, something like that. Standard, 100 and something years of Bears where they don't have a 4,000-yard passer. Speaking of 4,000-yard passer, 6 touchdowns on the day for Josh Allen, Charles. Now, we're just going to limit you to a couple of minutes on this one, mate. I know you could probably talk for an hour. It's
absolutely fine. The thing I have to say is it's probably the best stat line for one of the worst QB games I've seen in a long time. The stats are amazing. He's the first player ever to have multiple games with 3 passing, 3 rushing touchdowns, and the only other person to do it did it in 56. It's an incredible achievement. But he turned the ball over twice, and it was terrible. And at no point did you feel confident in what he was doing. But the Buccaneers played a good game. They played a really good game. They ran straight through the Bills' defense. The Bills' run defense was terrible today. Couldn't stop anything. And Baker was playing really, really well. He had 1 interception to Cole Bishop himself, but he had a great game. But the Bucs had the ball for, I think it was 35 minutes, and the Bills had it for 25. It was actually a surprisingly low number of actual snaps for the Bills to score over 40 points and win this game and win it handily in the end against Tampa Bay. So they'll be feeling good about themselves after a shocker against Miami last week. But I'm still not confident about the Bills. They have to figure out how to stop the run if they're going to, get amongst it at the end of the year. But the interesting thing is people remember the 13 seconds game and Gabe Davis catching 4 touchdowns. He has miraculously made it back from the practice squad onto the team after Keon Coleman sat the game out for being late to a team meeting during the week. It was disciplinary. He was a healthy scratch. And Gabe Davis comes in, makes some receptions, and Josh Allen obviously trusts him. And there's a familiarity and a comfort there. It's the best Gabe Davis has played in quite a few years.
And the game he's played in a few years.
So it doesn't make me confident about the Bills, but it was one they had to win, and they did. And they did it, in the end, they beat a good team who played well, by 2 scores. And you can't ask more than that other than, I don't know, the quarterback actually looking like he's confident and in control, which wasn't there.
There's definitely a win you needed just to keep yourself in touch with those division-leading Patriots that I actually called and tried to get a little bit of a I was trying to bait you on Friday, but got nothing from you on the socials saying that they're done. You're playing for a playoff spot now, a divisional, wild card spot. You didn't bite, I'll give you that one. But as Danny has got the New York Jets fans hating him, you've got a lot of Dolphin fans that are not a fan of Charlie Pick at the moment.
But I don't think they ever have been. So that's fine. Nothing has changed there. And a big cheerio to all of the Dolphins fans. We love you guys. And personally, what I love about the Dolphins is they're cobbling together a couple of wins now, which makes it harder for them to get rid of their quarterback and their coach. So keep them, guys.
That's backhanded. I love it. Just make sure you hit him up at Charlie Pick, but tag any given Sunday in it. I want to see all of these as well. A career day for Bryce Young, Danny, and realistically a bad day for Kirk and the Falcons because, especially with the Bucs losing, it kind of keeps it a lot tighter in the dumpster fire that is the NFC South.
Yeah, the Panthers are still knocking at the door now with the Bucs, which was not on my bingo card. But Bryce Young just went out there, and no one was expecting him to throw for 448 yards. No one. Yes,
not for the season, let alone the game.
Yes, this game did go to overtime, but they only had one drive. They ended up kicking a field goal to win right near the end there. But yeah, he just went out there and threw 3 touchdowns. Your boy, T-Mac, does not like to be called Tet, but McMillan, the T-Mac McMillan himself, had an absolute day out as well. So those two just had like some perfect connections throughout the day. Like he had a quarter of the receiving yards. Like that is insane.
I love it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a jersey. We'll
You
have to
got it.
look
It
that one
says
up.
McMillan on the back. Number 4, we quite like
I like
it. It's a good look.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Carolina blue would really suit you.
Yeah, you're gonna. I was gonna say, would I go the black or the white? The blue. I like the blue. We'll get
Nah, the
around
blue.
it. But huge day, not only for him, but it was actually a franchise record. So, uh, realistically, Charles, at this point, do we say that Bryce is probably ahead of? Well, who's the Houston quarterback? I've just lost it.
Oh, CJ Stroud. Ahead of
CJ Stroud.
Stroud.
That's the one. 1 and 2 in the. Yeah, I'll be clipping that one. 1 and 2. 1 and 2 in the draft. But would you say that Bryce is slightly ahead of him?
It's interesting. Like he seems to have. Well, I mean, this season you would say that he's the better of the two quarterbacks. I still think there's that belief that Stroud, after that rookie season where he got them to the playoffs and looked so calm and in control, that there's still a belief that he's probably a better long-term prospect. But there's still nothing that makes me confident about CJ this year. And Bryce Young, I think, has earned himself a place as a starter, and they seem to like him at Carolina. They seem to have meshed, and the team is getting around him, and they believe in him. And maybe that's all he needs. Well done to the Carolina Panthers, I'd say, just for actually sticking with a rookie who looked very rocky along the way and looked very uncertain. For them to actually give him the time on the field and fix some of the problems around that team, so he could show that he's worthy of a starting position.
And realistically, Danny, since he got benched last year, he's been more than handy.
The benching was obviously the best thing for him. So obviously he sat behind. Was it Big Red last year?
Big Andy.
Yeah, sat behind Big Red, and whatever he was doing, he was obviously working hard off the field, and like that's just shown this year. Like so many other QBs that want the number 1 spot will like almost bow out in the fact that like, hey, I deserve that. If you're not giving it to me, well, I'm just going to pout. Not like uncommon for other QBs, but he obviously just went down and just put in some work, and like it's shown. And it's like having Rico Dowdle there as well, who's having an elite year always comes in handy. But he's the one who's touching the ball every single play. Like he's making the right decisions, and you saw that today. Yes, it was a super close game against the Falcons, but divisional games always are. And then just to get it done in overtime, and that final drive, I don't know if either of you two actually watched that final drive. He made no mistakes. He was clear. He knew exactly where he wanted to put that ball, and he did. Got just down in field goal range, took the field goal, didn't anything else because the Falcons started with the ball and won the game. And that's what you want from your QB.
Helped on that last drive by an insane play by their tight end. I'm trying to remember. Can't remember his name. There's no one who'd caught my eye before, but it was a wild catch and run, and he took him on. It was Gronk-esque. And he got down to like the 10. And I think it was like a 45-yard play with something like 35 yards after the catch. It was incredible. It's definitely one of the highlights of the day to go back and watch it. But, well done to the Panthers.
Tommy Tremble?
Tommy Tremble, that's exactly right.
Yeah, 1 catch for the day, 54 yards. Huge. Good on him.
Amazing stuff.
Just quickly, Danny, terrible on the other side. The Falcons really are, speaking of roller coasters, they're as up and down as anybody.
Yeah, wow. The Falcons thought they had it with Michael Penix Jr. and he's come out and shown some few things. But just I don't know, there's not a really complete team really at this point. I feel like their problem isn't just at quarterback. There's a lot more going on there. To be 3-7 at this point when they really thought they were going to really start to turn things around, it's not looking fantastic for the Falcons.
It's definitely not.
Just on the topic of people who've had a bad day out of the Panthers, sort of out of that game, spare a thought for Cam Newton, who he lost the passing yards record to Bryce today, and also at Orchard Park, if I can just go back, Josh Allen has beaten him for number of rushing touchdowns by QB, now holds the record. So poor old Cam Newton lost 2 records today.
Yeah, bad day for him. Speaking of good days for QBs that are on the rise, the Jags, a bit of a surprise. I've got the Jags Any Given Sunday shirt on to honour him, Charlie, and make sure you hit us up to go grab one of our shirts and jumpers and hoodies and whatever you want. But they humbled the Chargers in what I reckon most people, I'm calling it an upset. So I think most people would have picked the Chargers to get the job done here.
Absolute upset. And really, there was no point at any time in that game that you thought the Chargers were going to get back into it. They really didn't show it. I started Herbert on one of my fantasy teams, and that really did not work out well at all. He had a terrible day
I was
at
going
the
to get his
office.
stats up because his stats are almost unbelievable. Like, he went 10 of 18 for 81 yards with an interception. And then even on the ground, 16 rushes for 42. So they only had 130 odd yards for the day.
Insanely bad game for the Chargers. And also, like, which for them, they should not be playing like that. They've shown a lot more fight and spirit than that in previous weeks. So concerns there. And really, like, they are, maybe they fall away and the Chiefs get back into second spot in that AFC West. Whether that means a wild card or not remains to be seen. But it's a terrible loss of form by the Chargers, and that's got to be the worst day that Herbert's had without having his ribs broken, I think.
Absolutely. Danny?
Well, and the thing about the Chargers as well is like their defense, like they are a defense strong team, and the Jags put up 35 on them. They not only did they not perform on offense, they didn't perform on defense either. So it's just like an all-in bad day for the Chargers. One positive though, Trey Lance came out there, made him dance, had 3 completions for 37 yards. God, just love to be able to mention Trey Lance at any point in any podcast.
Trey Lance making dance. 192 rushing yards the Jags had today. So they just beat him on the ground and did what they had to do, which is huge.
Thankfully, I also started ETN on that fantasy team, so I got some balance out of it. But sadly, the Danny Webb prediction of 14-3 for the Jags, sadly, is a faded dream. But at least living up to the expectation that they're going to be competitive and win some games to beat the Chargers in form like that. But I would say
he changed it to 13-4, didn't he? Or 14.
Pedaling it back.
He's still a chance.
But I think you can change it every week. You can just dial it back every week at that.
Every week. Yeah, 10, in all honesty, a 10-plus season win is probably a good thing for them. So, truly on the way to that.
But this Jags team is currently sitting in the playoffs right now. This Jags team is sitting in the playoffs above the Chiefs, above the Ravens, above all these teams we thought were really going to be in there above this Jags team, except for me. So I might not have been 100% right on the record, and we may fudge it, get a bit of AI in there to help me to make my take prediction correct. But I was correct in saying they were going to have a turnaround year, and they definitely have.
It's interesting, though, I think, for the Jags. There are teams that we're talking about, the Cardinals, who have some big questions at quarterback, regarding Kyler Murray, for example. Some other teams, I think Miami have to make a big decision at quarterback at the end of this season if they want to be competitive. But Jacksonville, you wouldn't say that Lawrence has blown you away or silenced all the doubters with how he's played. They are winning and he's scoring points, absolutely. But, has he answered the questions? Is he the franchise quarterback at Jacksonville? I still don't think I can be certain of that. And could they be doing even better if they had, a more elite quarterback?
The issue is, though, where are you getting it from at this point? And I feel like that's the thing. Anyone who has an elite quarterback in this current league, they're not selling. Like you could be the Bengals of this year and not doing fantastic. Joey B's injured. You're still not ever selling Joey B. You're never selling your franchise quarterback. So it's almost like the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. Unless you're going to pick up a Drake May in the draft, and then that's your way forward. But then even then, the QBs that are coming through these latest drafts, like what are they hitting on? 1 in 10? It's hard. It's a very hard position to have confidence in a player to then take over your team that is already doing well enough that you're currently looking at a playoff picture. You're already doing well, but like, how do you get to that next level? If it isn't an elite QB, are you going to have to take a step back to go forward?
I think also you got to look back at Trevor Lawrence's the beginning of his career where he had, a head coach that got sacked for kicking a player. Like he's the owner.
I believe he got sacked for going out to a bar after the team lost instead of going home on the plane.
Yeah,
and getting
go home. It was a titty bar as well, I believe, just to really ram that home. But yeah, he had his first 3 seasons were an absolute rabble. So I still think you got to stick with him at least while he's winning. He's got your team in a playoffs position, like Danny said, and there's also no one coming through in this next draft that you're going to go, well, we're going to blow up our system to get him. So I'm sticking with him. I'm still a little bit on his T-Law's side, but yeah, you make a valid point.
On Danny's point, though, I'm going to ask this. This is way too early to ask this question, but that's why it's a hot take generator, this question. All right. You said the Bengals, absolutely no way that they would sell Joey B. What if he gets injured in the second week of next season, misses most of the season, and we're looking at a guy who's definitely spent more time on IR than he has on the field? Do you think about moving Joey B then?
Then it's a different story, but what are you really getting for him as well? Like,
who's going to take him? Who's going to take that?
Like, because even if you were the Jags in this point, right? Because this is what we're talking about. Like, let's say we are the Jags, yeah? But then Trevor Lawrence gets the Jags to the playoffs, who, like, yes, okay, he's had some injuries, but he's definitely not, I wouldn't call him injury prone. Would you then replace him with an injury prone Joey B? So you've just had a player get you to the playoffs in a team that no one else was really expecting you to do it, and then you're going to take someone who's sat on the wood for however long because he's always been injured.
On the pine, not the wood.
On the pine. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Like, I personally, if I was the Jags, I'm not taking him.
Well, I think we know for a fact that the front office at the Bengals will make absolutely the right decision because they are a Swiss watch. They know their priorities. They know how to be smart. Nothing wrong.
They'll be the only team that'll trade him and somehow keep his contract. They'll still pay him, but they don't have him.
They'll eat $60 million a year, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Perfect. All right, last story for the day, Danny boy. It's your Eagles versus the Lions today. Huge win for yourself and myself, keeping the Lions below the Packers.
Yeah, it was actually a better game than what the scoreline looks like. And if you look at the stat board, it doesn't necessarily look fantastic either. But the game, super entertaining. It was really good. The Eagles finally looked like they're firing on defense. There was multiple times they stopped Goff on fourth down, which is something like if teams have gone for fourth down against us, we'd generally just give it up. The defense just hasn't been clicking. But all the trades and stuff that Howie's done, we've finally got those players out there, and they are making a difference. They're making an impact, which is something that I was always saying. We're either playing one half of football or one side of the football. But now we've actually finally done it. Sirianni did go for a very unnecessary 4th and 1 on our own 30 in the fourth quarter when we're up by 10. I don't know why he did that. Like, just punt the ball away. Like, there was enough time on the clock, and the defense is playing that well. Trust your defense. Just kick the ball away and get another stop. But anyway, he went for it, and the Lions got a field goal out of it. So that's why
even Dan Campbell was going, man, that's confident.
Yeah, that is just, you just don't go for it. I guess like they believed in the tush push, which didn't work every single time today. I don't know what the percentage of actual, it was like closer to 50% rather than at the high 70s. So it wasn't even working against this Lions team that obviously had worked out how to defend it. So why go for it? It blew my mind. It was lucky that the Lions had to settle for a field goal in that, but it made it way closer than it needed to be.
You had 5 out of 6 possessions. Well, they had 5 out of 6, the one being a touchdown where you stopped them on fourth down.
Amazing.
Enormous.
It's
enormous.
Huge.
Your defense.
It's huge. And Vic Fangio was always going to get this defense firing. And now they've finally found their own identity. Everyone's kind of settled in. The trades obviously did make a massive difference. But everyone's like, we've got some players back like Nakobe Dean from injury and all of that. Everyone is finally going back to almost like, I don't want to say it, but like at least a playoff contending.
Oh, he said it. You fucking said it, Charles.
Playoff contending.
I can hear him think it.
But jumping back all the way back to the start of the show where you said that AJ Brown was blowing up about not getting any targets. He got these most targets in the first half of his entire career this game. So the blowing up kind of worked. It kind of worked. He only got one in the second half, but
Are you just going to out defense everyone though? Because scoring 16 points isn't going to win you a playoff game.
If the defense is strong enough, it will.
Ooh.
If it's a shutout, it will. If it's anything less than 16, it will.
Turns out when you score more than you win, more than you lose. But yeah, you definitely. I didn't feel watching. Like I was kind of in and out watching the game, but I never felt like you were threatened. But I also am not stoked with the way you're going. I guess like you still have a lot of holes, and your offense is still very shaky. But I didn't feel like you were threatened all by the same way. Like your defense is elite at the moment.
the same way that you clipped it 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when I was talking about saying finally we got our offensive line back. Well, guess what? They're gone. And they were gone, and it shows. It shows on the scoreboard. Absolutely jinxed them straight back into injury. But yeah, we didn't have our center or our right guard. So, and the chances are when Saquon Barkley's running the ball, he's gone right. So, you lose your strongest offensive weapon. And then Jalen Hurts can't really sneak because the offensive line isn't there. And then he's getting so many more, pressures in the passing game. And then he got sacked as well. Like, it's just your offensive line not being there really, really fucks the Eagles.
Do you know what we might try and do? I think this would be an interesting exercise. Maybe we'll try it for later in the week. Let's almost do a power rankings of like playoff contending teams who are the most injured.
Ooh.
Like who is doing well to remain in contention given what they're missing on the field? Because there are some teams who are missing an entire O-line. There are, teams that are missing an entire secondary. And I think injuries always have an enormous effect on outcomes of games, outcomes of playoffs, and who gets there in the end. But there are some teams that are in contention, but they are missing some talent that aren't coming back. So maybe we can give them some credit for being in contention for how injured they are. So maybe that'll be a homework project for the end of the week. Let's do that.
Sounds like you're putting your hand up in this group.
I think project. I am. I think I accidentally did put up my hand for homework.
Yep, well done. Well done. Huge, boys. Like I said, massive week 11. We've still got the Cowboys versus Raiders, but that's not going to have any playoff implications. I'll tell you that for free.
Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys are going to get the job done, but yeah, not one that we have to really worry about just yet.
Are the Cowboys going to get the job done?
Oh, I think they will. Yeah.
I hate saying this. Dak is playing okay. All
No,
right.
Dak's had a good season.
Dak's had a good season.
It's going to be
exactly the kind of game they would lose.
Yeah, 30 plus scores, probably both sides, because their defense does suck. But he'll outscore them, so it'll be okay. Gino's been shit lately, hasn't he? So maybe he won't. Anyway, make sure you find us on all the socials, and Charlie, hit us up anytime, any questions, especially if you're a Dolphins fan hating on Charlie.
Absolutely. Feel free to just write it down and put it in the post. I'll definitely get that as well, Dolphins fans. Absolutely. Message in a bottle. How about that? Just
fine on the beach.
Yeah.
Brick through the window. That's okay too.
Hello. That is not an invitation.
No. We'll see you both. We'll be out Friday, just before the Thursday night game, which I don't know exactly who it is, but we'll replay it then. So, find us on all the socials. Make sure you like, subscribe, and all of those good things, and we'll see you Friday, boys.
Go Bills.